Breaking news. The date is January 27, 2026. Ukraine destroyed a $10 member Russian EW system. Fighters of the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces struck a Russian R-330Zh Zhitel electronic warfare station. Its cost is estimated at $10 million, the 413th Unmanned Systems Regiment reports. According to the military, the R-330Zh Zhitel is a Russian electronic warfare station designed to intercept and suppress communication channels of UAVs and other aircraft at a distance of up to 25 kilometers, and control channels at up to 50 kilometers. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Area and the latest podcast by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover the stunning neutralization of that Russian R-330Zh Zhitel by the 413th Raid Regiment in the Donetsk region.
It's great to be here. And honestly, this isn't just another destroyed truck on a kill feed. This event, it's a perfect window into a massive shift in how wars are being fought right now.
I really want to set the stage for you because the numbers here they're frankly mind-boggling. We are looking at a single strike that represents an economic disparity of, what, 20,000 to 1?
20,000 to 1, yeah.
You have a plastic drone, probably costing $500, taking out a $10 million piece of advanced military hardware.
It's the kind of math that keeps military budget planners up at night. But the money is just the headline. The real story, the one we're going to unpack today, is the technological impossibility of it.
Right, and that's the big cliffhanger for me. The Zhitel system they blew up is literally designed to kill drones. That's its whole job. It jams the signals that let them fly. So the big mystery is, how do you fly a remote-controlled plane into the very machine that cuts the invisible string between the pilot and the plane?
It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? But as we'll get into, the answer involves some tech that seems almost like science fiction. We're talking invisible tethers, artificial intelligence, and a complete rewrite of the rules of engagement.
And before we get into the weeds, I want to highlight why this matters to everyone, not just people following the front lines. What the 413th Regiment did here is, well, it's effectively rewriting NATO's playbook on the fly.
Without a doubt, Ukraine is building the blueprint for European defense. This deep dive is really about the battle for the airwaves. It's silicon and algorithms versus steel and gunpowder.
Okay, let's start with the beast, the target. The R-330Zh Zhitel. The 413th released the footage this morning. For those of us not looking at the photos, can you paint the picture? What are we actually seeing?
Sure. Imagine a heavy-duty military truck, usually a six-wheeled Ural or a Kamaz. It looks rugged, but the truck itself isn't the important part.
Yeah.
It's dragging a trailer that houses this massive four-mast telescopic antenna array. When it's deployed, it looks like a mobile cell phone tower or like a cluster of bizarre metal trees just sprouting out of the ground.
And Zhitel means resident in Russian. I'm guessing it's not the kind of resident you want in your neighborhood.
Definitely not. It's an electronic predator. It operates in a specific waveband between 100 megahertz and 2 gigahertz. And when they turn this thing on, it creates a bubble of electronic noise.
A bubble.
A bubble, yeah. If you're on the ground trying to use a radio, that bubble is about 20 to 30 kilometers wide. But against things in the air like drones, it pushes that suppression out to 50 kilometers.
50 kilometers, that's massive. That can cover an entire sector of the front.
It can. But it's not just about stopping soldiers from talking on their walkie-talkies. It does something much, much nastier to navigation.
That's its most dangerous feature, right? The GPS jamming.
Exactly. The Zhitel is a GPS killer.
Yeah.
It specifically targets the Navistar system.
Okay, help me understand this. I've always wondered. GPS satellites are in orbit. They're these sophisticated billion-dollar machines. How does one truck sitting in a muddy field in Donetsk beat a constellation of satellites?
It all comes down to basic physics. Specifically, something called the inverse square law. Think about it like this. A GPS signal has to travel about 20,000 kilometers from space to reach your phone or a missile.
Okay, a long way.
A very long way.
Yeah.
By the time that signal hits the battlefield, it is incredibly weak. It's like someone whispering a secret from across a crowded football stadium.
So the satellite is the whisperer.
And the Zhitel is a guy standing right next to you with a megaphone, screaming on the exact same frequency. The receiver on your drone or your missile, it just can't hear the whisper anymore. It only hears the scream.
That makes perfect sense. So the scream just completely drowns out the navigation data.
It does. And the consequences are terrifying for a modern army. Western precision weapons, like the US-made JDAM bombs or the GMLRS rockets from a HIMARS, they all rely on that whisper.
Right.
A JDAM with good GPS is accurate to within 5 meters. You
Yeah.
can put it through a specific window. But if you take away that GPS, it starts to drift. You might miss by 30 meters, maybe more.
So suddenly your precision strike isn't precise at all. You're just throwing explosives into a general area.
Which means the Zhitel protects high-value Russian targets, command posts, ammo dumps.
Yeah.
It makes them impossible to hit accurately. And that's why destroying just one of these is such a pivotal moment. It clears the air.
So we have the target. Now let's talk about the hunters. The 413th Raid Regiment. Who are these guys?
They're one of the most rapidly evolving units in the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces. They actually started as a battalion back in 2024, but they were so effective they were expanded to a full regiment by late 2025.
And the commander is Major Yevhen Karas. I was reading through their combat record, their trophy case, if you will, and it's intense. They're not just blowing up trucks, they are hunting the most expensive gear Russia has, S-400 radars.
That Zhu radar hit is particularly significant. That's a counter-battery radar. Its whole job is to detect incoming Ukrainian artillery, calculate where it came from, and tell Russian guns where to fire back.
So by taking out the Zhu, they essentially blinded the Russian artillery in that sector.
Exactly. It saves the lives of Ukrainian gunners. And I think just recently, they even took out a North Korean M1991 rocket launcher.
Wait, a North Korean launcher? That's the big 240 millimeter system, right?
The very same. Seeing it on the front lines just confirms how deeply North Korea is involved in supplying Russia. But the 413th tracked it down and destroyed it. They are specialists in high-value asset destruction.
So walk us through this specific strike on January 27th. They find the Zhitel. How do they actually execute the hit?
It started with reconnaissance. Usually this means a high-altitude drone with powerful optics spots those antennas we talked about earlier. Once they confirmed the target, they launched an FPVA first-person view drone.
And the footage shows they weren't just, crashing it into the truck cab, which I guess would be the easy shot.
No, they were surgical. They targeted the antenna array itself. You see, you can replace a truck engine, you can fix a flat tire. But those phased array antennas, that is highly calibrated, expensive electronics.
The heart of the system.
It is. If you shred those masts, the $10 million system is useless. It has to be shipped all the way back to a factory deep inside Russia for repairs. It takes that unit out of the war for months.
Okay, this brings us right back to the central mystery, the paradox. You just explained that the Zhitel screams radio noise for 50 kilometers to kill drones. So, how on earth did a cheap plastic drone get close enough to blow it up? Why didn't it just fall out of the sky?
This is where we get into the real innovation. The Ukrainians are outpacing the textbook rules of electronic warfare. Based on what we know, they likely used one of two technologies to punch right through that shield.
I've heard rumors about these wired drones. Is that actually a real thing?
It is, and it's brilliant. It's called fiber optic control. Think of the Svitlovod drones. Imagine a drone carrying a spool of razor-thin fiber optic cable. We're talking kilometers of it. As it flies, it unspools this thread behind it, physically tethering it to the operator.
So there's no radio signal to jam at all?
None. Zero. The Zhitel can scream all it wants. The command signal is traveling as pulses of light inside a glass cable. It is physically impossible to jam that with radio waves.
That is, it's almost retro. It's like using a landline telephone because the cell service is down.
It's the perfect example of low-tech solving a high-tech problem. And the other benefit is video quality. Radio signals get fuzzy, they lag, especially near jammers. Fiber optics give you crystal clear 4K video with zero latency right up to the moment of impact.
Incredible. So that's one way. But I imagine dragging a wire has its limits. What's the second method?
The second method is pure futuristic tech, artificial intelligence. We're talking about autonomous interceptors like the Sting or Titan systems.
How does that work in a jamming environment? I don't get it.
It's a fire and forget concept.
Right.
The pilot flies the drone towards the general target area. While they are still far away, before the jamming gets really bad, they use the drone's camera to lock on to the shape of the target. They literally draw a box around the Zhitel on their screen.
And
Then the onboard computer takes over. It uses computer vision to track that object. Even if the jamming completely cuts the connection to the pilot, the drone doesn't care. It's not listening to the pilot anymore. It's flying itself, making tiny micro adjustments to hit that truck.
so it basically becomes a mini smart cruise missile for the last mile of its flight.
That's the perfect analogy. The Zhitel is jamming a ghost. The pilot is already out of the loop,
but the machine is still coming.
That is terrifying if you're the operator of that Russian system.
And looking at the economics again, Major Karas and his team are essentially trading tennies for gold bars.
The Killboard stats confirm that. By October of 2025, the 413th Regiment alone had inflicted over $590 million in losses on Russian forces. Just one single regiment.
$500 million of enemy equipment. That is a staggering return on investment. But, and there's always a but in war. Russia isn't just sitting still letting this happen, are they? I've seen some worrying reports about their adaptations.
Unfortunately, yes. This is an arms race, not a victory lap. Russia is adapting, and in some very, well, controversial ways. We have to talk about the Starlink anomaly.
This is the report about the BM-35 drones, right, in the Dnipro strike.
Correct. We saw this on January 26. Russia has been launching these long-range strike drones, but they are equipping them with Starlink terminals.
Wait, Starlink is a Western system, Elon Musk's system. It's not supposed to work for the Russians.
It's not supposed to, but there is a massive black market. Russia is buying these terminals illicitly through third countries, activating them, and then strapping them to their drones.
Why does that matter so much? Why is Starlink better than a normal radio?
Because Starlink communicates with a satellite directly overhead using a very narrow focused beam. It is incredibly difficult to jam compared to a standard radio signal that radiates out in all directions. It allows Russian operators to control these drones over the internet from 500 kilometers away with high resistance to Ukrainian EW.
So they're using our own technology against us to bypass Ukrainian defenses. That brings me to something else that really, well, it made my blood boil when I read it. The Geran 5 analysis.
This is a really hard pill to swallow. A Russian Geran 5 drone was shot down just this month. Ukrainian intelligence cracked it open to see what was inside.
And they found American chips.
They found chips from CTS Corp and Texas Instruments. And here's the kicker. The manufacturing codes on those chips were from September 2025.
September 2025, that's only 4 months ago.
Precisely. These aren't old chips from before the war. These were manufactured and sold while sanctions were supposedly in full effect.
How is that even possible? Are these companies just selling to Russia?
It's unlikely it's direct. It's the gray market. The chips are sold to a distributor in, say, Central Asia. Then they get sold to a shell company, re-exported, and eventually they end up in a Russian factory. But the speed from a factory in Texas to a drone in Ukraine in 4 months, it shows the supply chain is still a sieve.
That is unbelievably frustrating. It feels like trying to bail out a boat while someone is drilling holes in the bottom. But despite that, Ukraine is still pushing forward on defense. The drone wall concept.
The Atlas system, yes. This is where you see the future of European security being built in real time. The idea is to move away from relying on a soldier with a rifle looking at the sky, and instead create a networked grid of thousands of sensors and automated jammers.
So the system detects the drone and kills it automatically.
That's the goal. The EU Defense Commissioner recently called Ukraine the R&D lab for Europe. And they're right. Units like the 413th and their peer unit, the 412th Nemesis, they're doing the heavy lifting. Every time they figure out how to kill a Zhitel, they're generating data that NATO desperately needs.
They are beta testing the next generation of warfare so the rest of Europe doesn't have to.
That is a stark way to put it, but it's accurate. Ukraine's survival depends on outthinking a larger enemy, and Europe's future security depends on learning these lessons.
So let's bring it all back to that burning truck in Donetsk. What's the big takeaway here? What does the destruction of this one Zhitel actually achieve on the ground?
Tactically, it punches a hole in the Russian electronic shield. By removing that jamming bubble, the 413th has created a corridor. Now, Ukrainian surveillance drones can fly deeper. HIMARS rockets can hit their targets with pinpoint accuracy. They've created what the military calls freedom of maneuver in the electromagnetic spectrum.
It's huge. You know, listening to all this, I'm left with this one image. We grew up watching movies where air superiority was about fast jets and million-dollar missiles.
The era of heavy metal, right?
Exactly. But today, air superiority is a 20-year-old in a basement wearing VR goggles, flying a plastic drone made of hobby parts into a $10 million military complex, and winning.
It's a complete and total paradigm shift.
And it leaves you with a question. If a $10 million system can't protect itself from a piece of consumer electronics, are we seeing the end of the tank? The end of heavy, expensive, legacy military hardware?
That's the question every general in the Pentagon and in Brussels needs to be asking themselves right now. And frankly, the only ones with the real answer are the Ukrainians on the front line.
And that is why we have to keep watching so closely. Ukraine's defense is Europe's defense. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Arya, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.